Hello, CWF Universe. Welcome back to another episode of Backstage Pass. It's another thrilling Tuesday evening. Thank you for spending your time with us. We got a lot to talk about, but first, as you can see, flicking on my left and my right, and the best part is I don't even have to differentiate between left and right because on Twitch everything is all reversed. I have the former and current CWF Heavyweight Champions, Daniel and Eli, tonight. How y'all doing today?
Hey there.
Hello.
Yo, all right. So I'm very thrilled with this episode because tonight's topic is something very near and dear to their hearts. So, which one of you wants to preface what we're going to be talking about tonight, the main crux?
Eli, go for it. I have a lot to talk about, but go ahead and start us off.
So I want you to imagine wrestling, but none of the wrestlers can actually get hurt, but they can also spontaneously combust. This is going to be talking about robot wrestling.
Yeah.
More specifically, Battlebots, correct?
Yes, so Battlebots is the American version of... It's the American brand of robot combat. You might be familiar with Robot Wars, which used to be aired in the early 2000s, which is actually the British version.
I remember Robot Wars. So yes, Daniel and Eli are both huge fans of Battlebots, and they will be not only nerding about the robots and the potential fights and the matchups and probably previous matches, but we'll also tie it into how it's like following professional wrestling. Not to mention, since we have this rare combination of two champions, we might be sharing a few Fanimania stories. Nervous laughs.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and start off with a few announcements. Number one, once as we have reminded you, we have a Patreon page, and this Patreon page has gone a long way to helping us. It has helped keep our hosting fees paid for and covered. It's also it also just takes care of a lot of the behind the scenes things. Once we're trying to build up a financial support infrastructure for everyone. That way we can better support our performers because conventions ain't cheap. So if you want to see more content from us, be it online or in person, please donate it. That's it for shameless plug. Now let's talk about our next upcoming show. CWF will be at Queen City Anime Con, which is in Charlotte, North Carolina. The Queen City. Woo! And as you can see by this amazing graphic, we'll be there August 9th, noon Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be streaming the event on our Twitch page. So we are actually flying out a number of our CWF team members. Jaime, Mr. Satan, Justin, Winter Soldier, Anthony, our media team, not to mention we also have Reagan and Bryce, the Lupin and Jigen. They're going to be joining us. It's going to be a fun time. Full disclosure, we have been invited by Queen City Anime Con. They are comping our stay and flight and lodging. So want to lay that on the table. Like, this is not just like, oh my God, we just absolutely, we'll probably love them, but it's like, oh my God, out of the goodness of our hearts, we're getting nothing in between. No, that's a lie. But we're very excited. Anybody on the team or anybody who's seen it in person knows that the most exciting shows are the main shows. But the best shows, like the boat show.
Boat show!
Like the boat show. Or the Krakencon show are the small conventions where everybody just does whatever they want.
Yeah, it's the Annoy G shows.
Actually, Mag West is certainly shaping up to be that. It's I think there's like a little quote on the team where everybody just goes, what's going to give G the most headache and trying to make sense, and then let's do that and multiply it.
I'm going to make my dramatic return at Mag West.
So is my headache. So is our headache. My headache. My headache. already. Like Reagan and Bryce are planning to do something silly. Jaime's planning to do something silly, and it's my job to make it coherent. Watch it on stream. Watch it on stream.
So who's going to be the straight man in this? If everyone's doing a comedy shtick, I assume that we will have at least one straight man.
Oh, that's Matt Ishida.
Matt Ishida. All right.
Matt Ishida, yeah, Matt Ishida, where it will be great because the more miserable I get, the better the show goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as always, for our listeners, if you want to chime in, what questions or comments, please type into the chat, or as we like to call the green room, where you already see Pinky Death. I'm going to actually move the streams here because my eyesight's bad. Pinky Death, hey, 826, welcome. Now, before we talk about Fanimania, I want to go ahead and talk about the question from last week, which is going to be a little challenging for you, Eli, because it's one of our more specific questions. So if you want to think of a hypothetical answer or abstain, completely understandable. And that is favorite pro wrestling entrance. And I'm going to go to Daniel because I know what he's going to say.
In terms of not special entrances, because special entrances is like, oh, what did Triple H do this year? Meaning, overall, my favorite entrance is probably Mr. Kennedy, where he just comes down to the ring, gets in the middle of the ring, raises his hand up, and then a mic descends from the heavens, and he grabs his, ladies and gentlemen, I hail from Green Bay, Wisconsin. I am Mr. Kennedy. And he just stops, gets on the ropes, and just was Kennedy. Let's go to the mic, and it just goes right back up.
Yeah,
it's like one of those old school, like
it's like those old school, like 1920s, mock like jazz club mics.
Yeah,
it's the mic that you think of when you're not thinking of American Idol.
Yeah, that's honestly, I started getting into pro wrestling like in 2006, 2007, and Mr. Kennedy had just debuted. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like the coolest guy ever, and then he, 2 years later, he's gone because of wellness policy. But for that 2 years, I was really invested.
All right. As for me, my favorite entrance, and I can even name a specific one, was Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance when he debuted in his match against Sami Zayn. Just because we all knew about Nakamura's theme song Subconscious being really good, and nobody heard the Rising Sun before. So you see the waves, and then I just remember when it went into the red font, Shinsuke Nakamura in that Persona 5 font, I just yelled, holy shit. And then he was doing JoJo poses. It was just like one of the coolest things I ever saw. And from there, I was like, all right, I'm a Shinsuke Nakamura fan.
And I think my favorite Shinsuke entrance is actually the following one, where he had the solo violinist come out and just do a solo for about a minute and a half, and then immediately transition into his entrance music.
Personally. Yes, that's a good one. Nakamura always has good entrances. Now, Eli.
I can name like 3 wrestlers, but one thing that's super interesting is that I was talking with Mama Doria and Isabel.
Aww.
And because she's not a super fan of wrestling, but she's a fan of wrestling. And Sean, the security guard, is a huge fan of wrestling. And we ended up talking about sort of, because most of my wrestling knowledge came from being in CWF, why it's actually a little bit hard for me to sort of be a wrestling fan. If you want to hear a weird meta about like being a wrestling fan and sports fans and stuff like that. But that might be a discussion for another day.
Yes. We will say that Eli is a huge sports fan in other fields.
Yes. Yeah. But if it's actually sort of like it was a really enlightening conversation I had with them, just sort of being like part of the issue of getting me into wrestling, because I keep hearing it as a secondhand thing, and that's actually influencing my perception on wrestling, which is kind of weird.
So it's like, I'm trying to figure it out. It's kind of
Okay.
like when you hang out with a bunch of Naruto fans when you don't read the manga, and then you just
yeah. So
you absorb the series through osmosis as opposed to direct contact.
yeah, and okay, I'll just get into it because this will go into
Here
my
we
discussion.
go.
Well, we'll go into the discussion of Battlebots because so I had no idea, like I could name one wrestler before I joined CWF, and as longtime viewers of the Backstage Pass know, I joined CWF on a dare. I had never seen CWF before I joined. So what's ended up happening is because a lot of people in CWF are fans of wrestling, I sort of hear the secondhand stuff. But what's actually coming out of the secondhand stuff is not the kayfabe things. It's stuff like Vince McMahon denying his wrestlers health insurance, and it was another wrestler died, another wrestler was arrested, another wrestler did this and that, you know, and that's a harsh reality of being in wrestling, but it's not being a fan of wrestling. And because I hear all of this stuff, I don't understand. It's hard for me to look at wrestling and be like, but it's staged, it's faked. How can I get into this? And I sort of realized it's a bit like Disneyland, where like if you go to Disneyland and if you acknowledge the admittedly very racist past and you go and you can't help but thinking of like the workman issues and the large corporation, Disneyland isn't fun. But if you accept it for what it is, and you go with someone who is like, yeah, I know it's all fake, but you just accept it for what it is, it becomes a lot more fun. And no one's ever sat down with me and being like, yeah, wrestling is pretty silly. They're all in like tidy whities and it's real weird, but it's fun. If you accept it for what it is, it's very, very fun. And no one's ever actually done that for me. And because I can look at wrestling and be like, I could absolutely see myself get into this. But my knowledge of what I know is sort of the bad of wrestling, like how wrestling isn't classified as a sport legally because so Vince McMahon doesn't have to pay insurance fees, you know, and
yeah, we did a whole podcast on that too. So
yeah,
it's bad. It's bad.
It's really bad, but it's also, you know, it's like the NFL. There's a lot of things wrong with the NFL. There's a lot of things wrong with the MLB. There's a lot of things wrong with the NHL, but I still enjoy those. But that's because someone sat down with me and said, yeah, no, here's how to understand the sport. Here's how to understand what's going on. Here's how to acknowledge those bad parts while still enjoying the things. And if no one's done that to me with wrestling. So I just don't know a lot about wrestling, not for lack of want, because yeah, sure, I'm totally willing to sit down and learn some stuff about wrestling, but it's just someone needs to take the time.
No, that's a completely valid point. And oh my God, Disney, yeah, especially since I am a huge Disneyland junkie, and I get that. No, you totally get that because you're watching it like everything, you know. It's like when you know that your favorite things were done as a cash grab or an advertisement, but you still have legitimate feelings of magic toward it. So like,
absolutely.
How do you wrestle with that? Yeah, me too. I love it. I love everything they do. But on the flip side, I know that the workers are being taken advantage of and huge strain on the environment. And let's not even talk about all the stuff that happened in the past and the future. And they control. They're probably listening to this conversation right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Disney overlords.
But what's ended up happening?
I'm wearing my Disney shirt right now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my hot fruit is disgusting shirt. Because it is.
Because you remember that one tweet where it's like, oh my God, Avengers Endgame finally beat Avatar for the highest grossing movie. And somebody replied like, oh, congrats to Disney for beating their competition, Disney.
Yeah, it's exactly that. But and so because of what I end up hearing is all just sort of these very bad things about mostly Vince McMahon, to be honest.
That's the point I would say, is that the issue is in that medium. I mean, in that instance of the medium, as opposed to the medium in general.
Yeah. But so it ends up being just like, someone just needs to sit down with me and be like, no, that I'm going to explain to you this. And that's actually what happened with my two favorite sports, baseball and robot wrestling.
Which we will get to. But first, let's go ahead and transition to Fanimania real quick. Because,
oh boy.
I'm so glad you took that thing off of me.
I was just waiting for the segue.
This thing?
Yeah.
But for our listeners,
oh wow, that does not work.
Anthony is working very hard in getting the Fanime video up, because for, like in any media, it's very hard to appreciate the amount of time and effort spent in putting together just a simple video. At Fanime, I want to say that we had 3 cameras. I want to say at least we had 3 to 4 cameras. We had 2 audience cameras, a main camera following the wrestlers, and then the stream camera. And Anthony has to take the footage from all 4 cameras, splice it together so that it makes coherent sense in the most aesthetically interesting and exciting way he can, while also balancing out the color, balancing out the audio, inserting custom graphics for each wrestler, so he can really make it feel and pop like a real wrestling event. Because if you look at the more cameras you have, right, that's great that you have more footage, but that exponentially increases your workload. So if we have a 3-hour show over 4 cameras, that means Anthony has to review 12 hours worth of footage. That's a lot.
We love you, Anthony.
We love
you, Anthony.
And that's like in any creative field, artists, actors, performers, movie makers. It's really like when we watch a construction worker, we see the labor in progress. We don't see the labor in progress for like things that are creative, and we really have to like stop and think about that. Like that one movie, Loving Vincent. You know, that the Vincent Van Gogh movie with the oil that was painted in oil colors.
Yep.
Yeah, it took 10 years. 10 years.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's coming up, and both Daniel and Eli have some crazy Fanimania stories. We all do, but they have some really gnarly ones they want to share before we talk about punching robots.
Oh, they don't punch. They do a lot more than punch. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, as current champ, you wanted to share something with the viewers or the listeners.
So I had the Yen in the Vault briefcase, so I was going to make a dramatic entrance to the event. So if you've ever seen Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, there's a scene where Aragorn just like pries open the door super slowly and dramatically. I'm like, oh, that's the coolest way to open a door. So I want to do something like that. So I actually
technically it was 2 doors. Okay,
it was 2 doors. He opened 2 doors like that. Yeah. So I asked the Fanime staff, hey, would it be okay if I opened up the exits for about 5 seconds to let myself in halfway through the show? And they said that should be fine. Just know the doors are locked, so it's going to be you'll have to have somebody on the inside to open them for you. So I'm like, cool. So I'm waiting out there. I'm just kind of like holding my briefcase, like in the full outfit. There's people walking by, and I'm like, at them, and they're just like in character, getting ready to go on. And then finally, the last person goes up, and I hear somebody click open the door. So I'm like, okay, it's open. So I got my fingers pried, ready to go. So I start opening the door, and as soon as I'm at this point, there's some guy at my legs pushing me and trying to like get out through me. So for a split second, I'm just like, oh shoot, I think this is like a person on camera. But then he just keeps pushing me, and he hits the briefcase to the point where I almost drop it. So I kind of like lose my grip, and he just like awkwardly pushes. Yeah. Oh, here's a video.
There he is. He's right there. He's like, I got it. Let me just dip in that.
Let me just dip in. Oh, awkward.
I like how he like football
rolled.
He football rolled because normally at this point you just wait for the person to fly by. Nah, man.
Nah, he had to get out that moment through those doors. There were like 3 other sets of doors in the back, but he had to go right in the middle aisle. Like this is where everyone was entering from, and he chose those ones. Like hits the briefcase on his way out, and I'm just like, well, I can't let that get to me. So I'm like, I'll just play it off. And something that probably isn't shown is as I'm coming down, I'm like jumping, like excited. There's a split second where I almost trip and I almost land on someone in the aisle with a briefcase. I'm just like, and I was able to like come back at the last second. So I'm just like, I'm just going to play that off. Just going to play it off. And it was successful.
Needless to say, your Anime Expo entrance was way less complicated.
Oh, yeah. It's just like, okay, start here, walk a little slow, go on stage. Okay.
Yes, Pinky Death. You saw it. That was a real thing. I think we're all happy that that person's face was never caught on camera, or else it would have been a very meme worthy for face.
Yeah.
These things are these. This is what happens when you do a live show. This is the virtual equivalent of if somebody is doing a wrestling entrance and somebody had to use the bathroom really bad, but they decide to use the toilet backstage, so they run up the ramp while the wrestler's there. Anthony is typing. It was the weirdest thing that has ever happened for sure. No, the weirdest thing that has ever happened was the broken glass. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No.
That is the weirdest thing.
I held that on my conscience for 2 years, and I feel like my conscience is cleared a bit because
I just want to mention I actually messaged Daniel right after where I didn't know about the broken glass yet. I messaged him, how was the show? And I just got screaming back.
I don't even remember that conversation. At first I was really angry, and then I found out that I was the one who caused it. I'm like, oh no. Because apparently I had this big steamroll. I'm not sure if that was ever shot, because I was just casually carrying around, a 6-foot tall steamroller cut out. And I legit thought that on the ground was what remained of the Freaky Fish guy's eye.
Wait up. Before we get in deeper, let's table this discussion, because I think we could do an entire episode on the broken glass.
All right, Jeremy.
Just because the broken glass incident, we'll just have to save it for those who don't know. Probably it is. In Doctor Who terms, that is like the fixed point of time. Like it if you look at it, it changed the landscape of CWF of that point.
Yeah.
It led into a lot of other things. And
we should be thanking you, Daniel.
But
sure, in hindsight, everything's great.
Well, from a backstage point, some of our biggest improvements to the show have happened from our most disastrous moments. So, nobody's happy that it happened, but we're glad that we went through it.
So eloquent.
Yes. I'm just trying to ease Daniel's guilt, but hey, Eli, you mentioned an interesting story.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mine was interesting. Hers, it's a completely separate entity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good choice of words.
So, I'm sure anybody who saw Fanimania, hopefully they remember my very large skit where I choke out Mama Midoriya. And this skit was going to start off as me mind controlling Bucky Barnes.
No, I remember it.
Yeah.
It started off with mind controlling Winter Soldier, and then it kind of morphed into this thing.
Yeah. So, and the idea was that Franziska von Karma needed a very dramatic heel turn. Yep, that was it. So one thing that I do want to point out is that the Manfred von Karma is my actual father.
Who's actually German.
Who is actually German and actually speaks German fluently. So okay, this is good, the clip that we have. So basically, we had practiced it. We did a safety video so G could make sure that everything was safe and good and running smoothly, which involved Mama Midoriya's extraordinarily adorable dog being very concerned about me choking out her mom. And I was nervous for this whole thing because...
We were all nervous.
Yeah, one shot... I'm in these ridiculous heels, like objectively ridiculous heels. And the moment that she came on stage for the second round, I remember telling myself, okay, here we go. And the next thing I remember is seeing Mario's face in front of me, screaming at me. And my vest is open, and my whip is in my hand, and the audience is on their feet. And I had no memory of what just happened. I ended up completely dissociating and blacking out on stage during the thing, which, as Mama Doria pointed out later, thanks, you choked me out while you were completely not there. That's fantastic.
And they call Sailor Moon the blackout champion. Take me away, Earl!
Boo! Boo! Boo!
And so you can actually see I look at Mario in that clip, and because the majority of the clip I'm actually completely not there. I don't have any memory of it. But you see me look at Mario, and that's the point where I kind of snap back to it. And you notice I'm very off after that. And one thing that I actually did was I went up to Manfred von Karma, my actual father, and tried to play it off as like, oh, father, comfort me. I was actually trying to remember what happened and like mentally reset. That was the most terrifying point I have ever done on stage for CWF, because I completely realized that something absolutely could have gone wrong and I wasn't with it. And that's also the point where people probably noticed that I haven't really been participating in CWF recently. That was the point where I noticed that I needed a break.
And I'm glad you did. And I'm glad you took the break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're all glad. Those wanting to get into the show, we never want your involvement to take over. I mean, if you want to go in deep and immerse yourselves and live it, sure. As long as we always preach, you gotta like do it responsibly, live your life, make sure it doesn't negatively impact you. So when people like Eli come up and ask for a break, I'm not Vince McMahon. I say, yo, take your time, come back when you want to come back. We'll be here.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I outlined it very clearly to you. Like, I'm doing Fanime, I'm going to do MagWest, and then I'm showing up at the next Fanime, hopefully, if you'll accept me. But that was really the point. And if you end up watching it and you notice I'm very, very off when I go up against Daniel, and good old All Might was there as well. You can definitely tell it's not my A game. You can definitely tell I'm out of it. It's because I was trying to stay in character while also recover from dissociating. Which is actually the second time I have ever blacked out. Ever. So that was very, very disorienting. So yeah, that happened at Fanime.
It happened, but I mean, this is like to look at the silver lining, because we because the team did a lot of the bit was practiced.
Yes.
We had Midoriya's brother Sean as security up there.
Yes.
which was one of the reasons why we had him on stage, because Isaac transitioned to a performer role, and well, hey, if there's going to be anybody moving Midoriya, it would be if we get her actual biological brother, who's a big, strong guy. That's going to be, it will make everything safe. And,
and he practiced dragging her off stage safely. He also was there when we choreographed the bit, so he knew what it looked like and knew what to do. And I give all your love to Sean. He's a great guy. He actually runs the fan Discord, so
I didn't know
that.
Definitely give all your love to Sean.
He was thrown in.
Yeah,
that was the first time, and he decided, it's like, we gave him a few directorial bits, and he handled it admirably. But I just wanted to really highlight that even something as innocent looking as a fake choke, we want to make sure that there should be a lot of practice behind it, and everybody should know, we all got to look out for each other.
Yeah. And I'm definitely always on the side of, like, CWF is an improv show. It should be spontaneous. But when it's something planned, like, it was pretty much guaranteed I was not going to get the belt again unless they really wanted to be choked out and stepped on. But that stuff like that, where it was definitely more for me as the performer that I needed to get rid of the belt and focus on my academic career, like, that was a planned decision that needed to be choreographed.
And you can thank Daniel for taking it off you.
I was watching ALA making, like, pseudo bets with Mama Doria, going, who's going to be my best chance to lose this thing?
Who won the bet?
You did. It was Skeletor.
And I also remember, I don't know if it was through hearsay, but you can confirm this with me, Eli, that you told someone on the team that in your brain, when I made the Fanimania match a triple threat, you're going like, yes, do it.
Yes. That was the moment you said it was a triple threat, I was going, thank goodness, because I'll be honest, I think before I choked out Mama Doria, I thought she actually had a pretty good chance. She was getting some very loud cheers.
Oh, she was great.
Yeah. And I sort of realized that, choking out the person with one of the best chances was definitely going to turn people on me, which was fantastic. It's exactly what I wanted. But then I was having trouble hearing, is it Skeletor or All Might who is louder? Because Daniel, your fans are great, but Skeletor fans are very forceful.
you gotta make the chant and, like, fist the sky, I guess.
Yeah. Fist the sky. And so when you said that you're going to bring up both of the people who were going to, give me the best chance of losing, I was ecstatic.
It was very close, and you could actually thank Jeremy Mario for doing that, because he says, there's got to be another one. And went, we should bring back All Might.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I legit, because of the way that I have the rubber on my face, and there's another layer underneath.
It's a mask, not a condom. I have to say that.
Anyway, I legitimately didn't hear what was happening, so I'm just like, there should be a triple threat match. I'm just like, oh god, it's gonna be me, Mario, and Franziska. And all of a sudden, he's like angry and walking. I'm like, All Might's here. I'm like, what's All Might doing here? And then all of a sudden, it's like, this is a triple threat match. I'm like, oh, it is? Okay.
That's the spontaneity I like in CWF. Just, okay, triple threat.
Okay, triple threat.
Fight for Mom.
Or AX. I guess we're not having any eliminations this time.
Yeah, so I've definitely taken a step back. It was a good July without CWF. I celebrated my birthday. I made a couple academic decisions where we'll see where that goes, but it'll all be good. So my life is more on track now.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm planning on taking my sabbatical probably next year. Jill and I have a lot of theme parks mapped out on this Excel document, and we want to spend at least a week in Ohio riding roller coasters.
Oh, if you ever want to talk roller coasters, G.
Excuse me, excuse me, yes.
Yeah. I have been on the Beast, the Diamondback.
That's the thing. I told Jill about the Beast being 4 minutes long, where Kings Island is on my list, and we're planning to hit up next month Six Flags Over Texas.
Yes.
A 4-minute roller coaster?
It's a wooden roller coaster. It's brilliant.
No, you want to talk about brilliance? Some of the best wooden coasters in the world are in Holiday World in Santa Claus.
Ooh.
It's out like the wooden roller coaster. It's called the Voyage. It takes you out to the back of the trees. Oh man, there's also this.
This is just a super quick thing.
It's not gonna be a super quick thing if we're talking about roller coasters.
Well, it's roller coaster related because as someone who dated someone from Ohio for a long time and spent way too many hours in Kings Island,
I want to go to Kings Island. It's amazing.
Yes, if you go to the Banshee. One of the specialties of Kings Island is a blueberry cream softie. They make a special color of it for the Banshee that's related to the Banshee. It's the same flavor, it's just a different color, and it's very, very cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, I love coasters, but I like my thematic coasters, which is why Verboten over in Busch Gardens. That's indoors in German.
Ooh, yeah. And then Banshee's also the one with the graveyard in it, and one of the graves says Son of
Beast.
Yep.
I know it. I watched a Funkland too.
No, I actually saw that in person before I ever saw Defunct Land.
Oh, well, you beat me there. Okay.
We should talk roller coasters on a different backstage pass.
Oh my God, can we have a theme park? We need Jared because he goes.
There should be a theme park episode. With,
you have
and who else is really good with roller coasters?
Well, first off, Jared hits Disneyland almost every other week. So does Jeremy. Well, Eli has nominated herself.
You learn something new about me every time we talk.
Yeah, we like almost the same things.
Yes. And Manfred von Karma keeps inviting you to dinner, and you don't come to dinner.
It's hard. I work in Sunnyvale now.
It's nice and cool
and I live
where
in
I am.
SoCal. It's a little easier for you to get there.
You're invited to dinner too.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on to what we are still excited to talking about, and that's robot smashing. Battlebots.
Yes.
Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the season, can the two of you share how you got involved in Battlebots fandom?
Okay, so one of my, I don't want to say earliest memories, but probably the first, it was rated TV 14 at the time, and I was like 5 or 6. They had, I think it was Battlebots. It might have been Robot Wars, but I think it was Battlebot on Comedy Central.
Yes. Yeah, Battlebots used to be on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
God,
and I remember watching those. Yeah, not even sci-fi. It was Comedy Central. And one of my all-time favorite bots and one of my family's favorite bots was called Buddy Lee Don't Play in the Street, where it was literally a Cabbage Patch Kid on a fire hydrant that had a horizontal spinner out the front, and it would just run into people, and it would have these stuffed animals on the fire hydrant and would constantly lose them as the match progressed. So I'm just like, this is the funniest thing ever. And then it went away for like a decade, and then all of a sudden Battlebots is back. I'm like, wait, is this the real Battlebots? And I'm like, that's Tombstone.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into it.
So you were channel surfing.
I was channel surfing, and I'm like, wait, Battlebots, is that like the old Comedy Central stuff? And I'm like, this is an HD. It was like the old 4x3 box format for Comedy Central. And I'm like, it's back. It's really back. So apparently it was like, oh, so I immediately checked to see if it was on demand, and it was. So I marathoned, like, I think the entire first season. And I noticed that the new host, Farouk, something that I caught on, and as soon as I said that to my family, they're just like, oh, you just ruined the show for us. In season 1, Farouk has a tell on who wins the match, which is like, let's see if I have a card or something. He's like, the winner by unanimous decision is this guy. Or like, the winner by unanimous decision is this guy. He'll like take the card and move it to the other hand just so he can raise his hand. Nowadays, it looks like they caught on, but like too late. So in the entire first season, all the way up to the grand finals, he just this guy. Now he like double fists the mic.
Maybe he didn't have a name written on the card, and it was just an arrow pointing at the winner. So he had to make sure that the card was properly oriented. So he did it.
So that's how I got into BattleBots and got back into BattleBots.
And how about you, Eli? You're in it pretty deep. I remember. I want to preface this to our listeners that I first found out about Eli's BattleBot fandom when the four of us were in a hotel room for Krakencon, and Eli stopped the conversation, says, "You all need to watch BattleBots." It wasn't a, hey, you watch BattleBots, or hey, this is good. No, she hijacked the TV and started blasting BattleBot clips.
Yeah. And you loved it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a far nerdier path to BattleBots. So for people who don't know, I am located in the San Francisco Bay Area, and the Mythbusters are located in San Francisco. This is relevant because Grant Imahara, one of the Mythbusters, used to do Robot Wars. And so we started watching Robot Wars because of Grant Imahara, and we were actually interested in the technical side of the robots. Before my very long storied career into history and museum studies, I was into engineering and the STEM field. So we started watching that, and then it went off the air. And I didn't hear anything. And in the meantime, I got really into baseball. And there is a very, very silly show called Intentional Talk on MLB Network, where it's Chris Rose, a very famous NFL and MLB broadcaster, and Kevin Millar of the 2004 Red Sox championships, or champion winners. They just talk baseball in a very casual format. And there was one point where Chris Rose was gone, and they were like, oh, where is he? He's like, oh, he's filming because he got the play-by-play gig for BattleBots. And we were like, wait a second, we remember something like that. And so we ended up watching it because of Chris Rose and also our previous interests in the robots and all of that. A very nerdy way to get into it, I know.
Oh man, this really cool announcer is gonna do it. And oh shoot, I remember Mythbusters. God.
Yeah.
Adam Savage is doing great for himself nowadays.
I actually met him and he complimented my cosplays.
Aww.
Yeah. I went to the Maker Faire where
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. But now you're slowly understanding just how much of a nerd I am. I went to Maker Faire and he was doing his book signing, and my dad is a huge fan and got his book signed. My dad made him a little automata. I brought my Poe Dameron cosplay, and he took a selfie with us, which was very nice. Now there's a selfie of my dad and me on Adam Savage's phone.
Yo, I do not. I'm always surprised about people's nerd cred, not because I think it's lower than it should be, but because I don't walk in with any I don't want to say judgment,
preconceived ideas.
There we go. Yeah, any preconceived ideas. So any information to me is new information and interesting information.
Yeah. It's just interesting because I definitely don't present myself as someone who would be, be like, oh yeah, I met Adam Savage on a rainy day 1 week from Fanimania.
At Maker Faire. You could have just said I was at Maker Faire and done. Like, okay, that's like already 800 nerd cred points right there.
We bought a 3D printer at Maker Faire.
Jeez.
It was really cheap because it's resin and UV light and not the plastic.
So for a SoCal guy, what is Maker Faire?
I was about to say that, but for those who don't know Maker Faire is it's a big outdoor festival filled with, I want to say, DIY engineering products where people make.
It definitely got more industry as it went on later, but it was basically a outdoor festival for creative projects for engineering and also for the arts, with the core background of STEM. So a lot of 3D printers, lots of laser cutters. I built my own bicycle out of driftwood. I knit while I drum.
Here's this giant biped robot that I put, and it has a flamethrower.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff.
They sold cardboard pinball tables there.
Yes. And
must be really lightweight.
Yeah, so that's it was also a place where if you make stuff with your hands, it was a good place to just see what up and coming technologies are out there. So that's why I got a 3D printer for $300. Because they were like, "Oh, it's not a big bed. You can't really make anything bigger than like 2 inches by 2 inches. But if you want to make really hyper detailed D&D minis, they make it out of resin, and you don't have that like weird texture that plastic ones do. It's really, really cool."
Pinky Death has a great synopsis: makers and inventors, old computers, and other cool weirdo stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
R.I.P. Bay Area Maker Faire. You were great.
We have Daniel getting into BattleBots because of channel surfing, and Eli gets into BattleBots through a trace memory of her old engineering hobbyist days and remembering Mythbusters.
Yes.
So now are the two of you, you're both current in watching. You're up to date with all the matchups, I would assume.
Yeah,
Daniel's more than current.
Oh yes, I am. Because I live in SoCal. And I live in an area that's, 20 minutes from where they film this. I was able to go to 2 tapings. One of which was, and I didn't know at the time, was round 1 of the Desperado tournament. So I'm just like, wait a minute, this sounds familiar. I thought it was because originally I had seen on the episode prior to the last, which was before, they don't film every fight to go on every episode. They'll like pick and choose when to put the fights. So I saw the first 4 matches of the Desperado tournament, and I have also seen another taping that has yet to air, so I can talk all I want about the first taping, but I can't say anything about the second taping.
NDAs and all?
NDAs and all. But that's how I got back into it, in that all of a sudden, randomly, when I'm scrolling Facebook, all of a sudden there's like, oh, BattleBots tickets available for, this was last season, like, wait, where is this? If it's in LA, I can do it. They're in Long Beach. That's even closer. So I immediately bought a couple tickets, took my friend who had never seen BattleBots, and I think is now obsessed with BattleBots.
I think that's what happens when everybody watches BattleBots.
Oh, yeah. And it was there were a ton of really good fights that time. It was a Huge versus Ice Wave. It was the first time I'd ever seen Huge. It was this thing that has like...
You're pronouncing it wrong. It's huge.
There's like 3 U's in there, all capitalized.
Yes.
It got... The Ice Wave is a horizontal spinner. And it completely shredded the wheels and broke the bot in half. I also saw Bronco. I think it was Bronco versus Sawblaze.
Yeah.
And they cracked the bulletproof glass.
Ooh.
Then
Wait, they cracked the glass?
They cracked the bulletproof glass. Like, there was a dent about that thick inside the entire arena is like bulletproof glass, in case, like, these are bots that are spinning 200 miles an hour of like diamond tipped blades. And the glass had a chunk missing from it, like about that thick. And I saw like all the camera crews were like zoomed in on this thing. There's also the episode where Warhawk, who looks like the Star Trek: The Next Generation, really, like a Scorpion version of it. That was the episode where the dome that they had been using since the Comedy Central days tore.
You saw that in person?
Live. And I saw them, everyone put on like the special gloves, and they walked it to the announcers, and they gave the announcers special gloves to put on, and they're just like, this is a 20-year-old artifact that can never be used again. That was the episode I saw, and the last main event was Tombstone versus Duck.
Oh,
the only time I've ever seen a bot lose to a kill saw.
Yeah.
Where a kill saw is usually, it's just a little saw, it just pops up, it just like, bzz. But it was down to one wheel. This little tiny bot is just 100% defensive and was designed to like fight against these horizontal spinners. And it's down to one wheel, and then it's like, bzz, I took out the last wheel, and it's just sitting there. Meanwhile, Tombstone's weapon is gone. It's the defensive point is this: I'm gonna wear you down by you hurting yourself so much you're actually gonna like break yourself.
Is that a valid strategy?
Wheels broke. It worked.
It's a really good strategy, especially against Tombstone, because Tombstone is, it's all kinetic energy. So Tombstone is exactly what you think. It's like a giant tombstone-shaped robot. And one thing that should just be said about these robots is these robots are 250 pounds. They're huge.
And I've seen them in person, and I'm just like, oh, I saw Bronco in person. That thing looks so small on camera. That thing looks huge in real life.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, you could honestly put these things into like war zones and they would survive. They're incredible machines. But Tombstone, it's a horizontal bar spinner, so he has this very long bar that spins at very, very fast speeds. And
weighs by like 80 pounds or something.
Yeah.
Just the bar.
Just the bar. And it's like sharpened on one end, so it'll cut through steel and aluminum. And when the thing is, with energy, it has to hit something. It hits it at such a strong rate that it throws the entire bot back. This is a 250-pound bot being thrown 10 feet in the air. It's incredible. So what Duck, which is one of the best bots, just in principle.
And that was the first time I ever saw it. It was great.
What Duck is this. I didn't realize how big Duck was until Chris Rose and Kenny Florian were holding the head of Duck, and it went across both of them.
I'm actually Google imaging these robots, so I just know. Oh God, that's a big boy. Now, hold that thought. Sorry, we got a question in the chat that I just want to address real quick. We're talking about Duck. Let's see. Anybody see Survival Research Laboratories? Battlebots minus commentary plus industrial construction.
I have not. Although I will say, Chris Rose's commentary sometimes makes that commentary. His commentary sometimes makes BattleBots.
Just like how Jim Ross's commentary makes wrestling matches. Anyway, Duck. Tell us about Duck.
So Duck is built to just take these hits. So, it's taking a hit from Tombstone. They both get launched across the thing. And Tombstone eventually will break itself. Like Ray Billings, who made Tombstone, openly admits he built a bot durable enough to survive itself. And there's nothing more destructive than Tombstone. But if Duck, as a defensive one, just takes these hits, and eventually that kinetic energy is going to break his own bot.
Oh.
Think of it this way. If this was like a stat chart, Tombstone would have the only S rank in the entire thing in terms of power, but endurance is like a C or a D. Whereas Duck would be the only one in the entire competition with an S in defense. So it's literally the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. And what wins? You'll kill some.
So, chat, for those wondering, why is the Cosplay Wrestling Federation a event geared toward costume performances, professional wrestling, and anime nerd talking about Battlebots? We'll get to that. And I'm going to show you with this simple question. Eli, Daniel, are there any really amazing rivalries in Battlebots?
Amazingly, there are not just rivalries, there are faces and heels in terms of like the drivers. Like one of the judges goes like, "It's the bad boy." Like he used to what was the driver who used the net when I said, "Oh, it's in the rules."
The net.
No net.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, the net. I hated the net.
Basically, there was a spinner, and there was this other bot who just had this present. It was like an old, like wrapped in cardboard with like a little bow on it, and as soon as the spinner goes up to it, it just tears through it because it's just one level of cardboard, and there's a net inside. So the bat gets tangled up and can't move anymore. And so the match is called, and they have to bring it to the judges, and they're like, "It's not in the rules, guys. Look, this year they said entrapment's legal."
I was about to ask, I mean, I know how you're a heel in wrestling, and I know how you're a heel in regular sports is you act like a jerk. So how are you a heel in the BattleBots land?
Terribly. So the I think the biggest, at least the heel that the show wants to make is Ray Billings, Tombstone.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Really, because Tombstone sounds like a face, just because like it's got this ultimate power and it destroys.
Here's the thing: no one can beat it.
No one can beat it. That's the point. That's the thing. It's Goldberg or Brock. It's Brock Lesnar basically.
Oh
no, that's too that's a good. It's basically John Cena in that it wins, and it always wins. And you can count on like one hand the number of times it's lost, and those are usually times where it's like, oh, it wasn't a clean loss.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. We're just like, okay, we're tired of seeing this guy win all the time.
Yeah, and it also helps that the person, Ray Billings, used to be a prison warden, so like, oh, scary.
And basically, think of it this way, like early on, like in one of the matches, like a previous season, he was put it against like a low-ranking seed, and it was like fresh off the season, like 0-0. So first hit, the bot basically explodes and like it's now 2/3 the size. And then he looks at the other driver and is like, "You want more?" And the other driver's like, and then he just drives and hits it again.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I did notice they toned it down this season, which is, it's kind of hilarious because I'm also big in the BattleBots community, so I'm on the subreddit all the time. I participate in the AMAs. I look at their other non-BattleBots bots. I watch the other. So this is a heavyweight competition, so 250 pounds, but they have other competitions that are like lesser weights. It goes from ant weight to super heavyweight. And Ray Billings is actually like the nicest human being on earth. He really wants people to go into STEM and make their own robots. And so it's hard for him to be a heel. So it's really funny watching him try and play this heel.
John Cena does the Make-A-Wish Foundation like more than any other person in history of mankind. So the John Cena comparison is very adequate.
Not to mention, I just want to really bring it down to a philosophical level real quick to our listeners, is that if there's anything these episodes of Backstage Pass have taught that we'd like to teach you, is that the tropes and storytelling patterns and just the call signs of wrestling exist in other areas that are not wrestling. And that's not just us reading into it. It's wrestling. Wrestling as a...
And I'd argue that, especially the recent seasons of BattleBots, the revival, when it moved on to Discovery Channel rather than what channel was it on? It was like
Comedy
ABC
Central.
or something.
Oh,
No,
before that,
ABC.
I think it was ABC. Yeah.
Yeah, the recent ones, they definitely, like, even I can see the wrestling parallels, and I don't know anything about wrestling.
Except the bad stuff.
Yeah.
For the main event, they call it the main event. They have the walkway where basically, since I went to a taping, they actually set it up where they have fans who are given a cheaper seat that won't have a good view, but they would be in what they call the camera zone. They would walk through this hallway with their bot, the entire team pushing their bot. There's pyrotechnics going off. There's fans cheering. There's just the Battlebot music playing in the background, dun 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 dun, just stuff like that. All cheering, and the commentators and here comes Tombstone on his way to the ring right now. It's especially for the main events of each episode. It's so into that. The comparison is so spot on.
Yeah, and I mean, I obviously have learned some things about wrestling through osmosis, and it's really obvious, especially in the commentary, because I watch Chris Rose in all of his sports commentaries, and you can tell he's a lot more flourishy with this one. He's hyping it up more. You know, it's hard to hype up baseball.
Oh my God, that's a wooden bat. That's at least 2 pounds. Oh, and he's swinging
The
it.
perfect game is ruined. It's the first inning.
Can he do it? Can he get a shutout? Oh.
I think the first time... I was going to say, the first time I really saw the wrestling parallels is when Chris Rose, at the end of my favorite battle, which was Warhawk versus Free Shipping.
I love that bot so much.
Free Shipping is great.
Yeah, you showed me that one.
It's the best. But at the very end, Chris Rose just goes, "We had fire! We had carnage! We had Gary Jin!" And I was like, oh, this is wrestling.
Oh.
Now,
yeah, it's just great. It's
okay, I got it. Okay, so Eli, you like free shipping. Why?
It's stupid. That's why.
Wait, you're going to have to elaborate, especially for the non-BattleBots people.
Explain what it looks like.
Wow, Daniel taking over hosting duties from me. Good gumption.
So Free Shipping is made by legendary BattleBots and local Oakland guy, Gary Jin, where he essentially built an indestructible bot. However, for the revival of BattleBots, a rule is you can't have a shove bot, which is a purely defensive bot. You have to have some sort of weapon. So that's why Duck has a little lifter part, and why Free Shipping is shaped like a forklift.
It's a miniature forklift
that spews fire. And I mean, the flame is huge. The flame goes out 6-7 feet. But it's an indestructible bot, and everyone.
So it's Kane, right, Dan? It's Kane.
It's an indestructible bot. It will not pin. It cannot be pinned. It cannot be submitted. It can only lose by.
Said,
it was outside the ring. It got counted out because it was
huge monster robot shoots fire. It's Kane. Daniel is drinking water.
Really thinking.
All right, so Free Shipping.
Yeah, and the first, it was first introduced last season, and we were like, what is this? Because there's always a joke robot. But there's always a joke robot that, surprises us as well. And we were just like, okay, it's a joke robot, whatever. And then the first fight we see it in is the funniest thing I have ever seen in my life, which was Free Shipping versus Warhawk. And if you have the chance to watch it, it's on YouTube. It's just, you see this indestructible bot somehow just surviving as it's being torn to pieces while also spewing fire and leaking fuel, so it's also on fire while it's spewing fire. Like I said, it's like your favorite wrestler can spontaneously combust. It's great.
Okay, yeah, I remember that fight vividly. Free shipping trites. I remember when half its forklift was broken, so it just used it as a flail.
Yeah, it started spinning around in circles trying to use it like a whip.
You know, maybe Kane's not the right one. Maybe Mick Foley. You can just beat that guy up so much, but he'll always just like, I'm making it back to the ring. I don't care if I had 2 concussions tonight. I'm making that running during the main event.
Okay. What about you, Daniel?
Favorite bot? Oh God.
Although I will say, free shipping's not my favorite bot.
It's not. It's just a bot after your own heart.
Yes.
Well, old school. It's Buddy Lee. Don't play in the street. Nothing will ever beat that in terms of.
I love these
nostalgia.
names. Buddy Lee, don't play in the street.
Robot Wars had the best names. What was the one with cheese? There was the one that involved like a wedge of cheese. It was a pun with cheese, and it was a flipper, and it like flipped a bot 30 feet in the air.
I think it was some sort of Wisconsin. I think I remember that.
Oh no, it was called Wheelie Big Cheese.
Really big cheese.
Because it had giant wheels.
So
were the wheels painted like cheese wheels?
I think so, yes.
Yes! Gimmicks!
All right,
like wrestling.
But in terms of this generation, I guess the bot that I look forward to the most in terms of what it can do. This might sound because I saw him live, I think I want to go with Duck in terms of like every match. I want to see him just get hit and hit and hit. He's the ultimate like shonen protagonist in that he will just keep getting hit and keep getting stronger throughout the match. And every time that I see him, like there was a point where this season, like the first match, he lost his entire bill, like his entire piece is on the ground, so he's just a square with 4 wheels. But the other bot has broken himself and stops moving. If there was another 20 seconds that expired, it would have gone to time and probably would have lost. But because Duck was purely defensive, the other bot broke himself and won the fight. And I need to know: Duck had his 3rd match, right?
Let me pull up the standings.
Mm-hmm.
Duck is 2-1.
Okay, so it did. That was a Lockjaw, right?
Yes. Also,
okay.
I hate Lockjaw so much.
Yeah. So that was also at the taping that I saw, where I'm just like, yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, but we have a split decision. Winner is Lockjaw. I'm like,
whoa, wait. If this was back then, the winner would be that guy.
That guy. That guy. Yeah. But I felt, if you ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, I'm like Sokka in the stands, like.
Also, just so you know, puns are an integral part of this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And my favorite line that night was the creator of Duck says, "Well, if you've noticed, we've only ever lost because of judges' decisions."
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how they lost last year. It was the judge's decision.
Yeah.
Oh my god. If this was wrestling, this is where Duck would then be the babyface. It's because of the authority.
The authority is keeping him down.
And then, Vince McMahon Bob be like, Duck, you're not a good champion. You don't fight back. You just get your ass kicked. That's not a champion. Damn it.
To compare to this year, Kofi Kingston did the entire gauntlet, but we need to fight Daniel Bryan at the end. Oh, he got screwed over.
Oh, see, already the fact that I can already jump into my pro wrestling booking mode as you're telling me all these stories about these robots really shows the similarities. But it's not the first time we compared it to wrestling. Side note, Daniel had a birthday at medieval times, and they treated the jousting event like a pro wrestling show.
Oh yeah. Oh, so Eli, we didn't hear what your favorite bot is.
Oh yeah, your favorite robot.
It's. Can I have 2 favorite bots?
I had 2. I chose Buddy Lee.
Tombstone is one of my favorites.
Oh, John Cena.
Yeah, he's just too good. And the thing is also, when I started really getting into BattleBots, I was also pretty active on the subreddit. And Ray Billings is actually a really nice human being, and he posts what goes wrong when he loses so people can learn from his engineering mistakes, which is just really amazing. Like, that's really, really kind for people who might not have a full STEM background like him.
Or the ultimate bad guy flex. I'm so confident. Here is my freebie.
Yeah, and it honestly, I wouldn't put it past him. But his personality is just really funny and attractive, and he's apparently very shy in real life, or at least kind of shy. And he built a genuinely incredible bot. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, all of these bots are marvels of engineering. Even Chomp. Daniel, Chomp.
Oh yeah, like a lot of these bots, you can they're in Happy Meals some years, and Tombstone will always be featured because it's so simplistic and iconic. And Chomp is just they change the head depending on who they're fighting.
No, that's Quantum.
That's Quantum.
Chomp is not in the Battlebots 2019. Chomp is the one. So Chomp is kind of a weird bot. Chomp looks like a giant rock with like a pickaxe on the end.
I would say more like an anvil. It kind of reminds me of a backhoe or some sort of farm equipment.
Yeah, and the thing is that Chomp is only really appreciated if you're on the engineering side, because she knows she's a bad driver, so she automated a lot of it, which is actually pretty cool. Too bad it still sucks as a bot, but
the fact that it's able, because see, I remember, I think I know why I didn't get super into BattleBots growing up, because I got to watch, since we're all sharing Bay Area stories, I watched BattleBots on KQED public television.
Oh yeah.
Because for those of you not in the Bay Area, growing up, KQED was the shit.
It was.
Because every Sunday they would have Sunday Science Fiction Night, which was one of the most stacked viewing blocks ever. So first off, they'd load up with the Red Green Show, which was this Canadian sketch comedy show, which is hilarious. And then they would either fill you up on Doctor Who or Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of Red Dwarf, or they had an anime block with Evangelion, Key the Metal Idol, Dirty Pair. They showed this stuff in its entirety, uncensored, no commercial breaks, and the only thing you have to do is when the episode's done, you have to listen to them beg you for to call them. Anyway, BattleBots was there, had Lister from Red Dwarf as the host, and I remember that the bots their weaponry didn't work most of the time.
I would definitely say that Robot Wars was not as heavily focused on main weapon damage. And early BattleBots was essentially just Robot Wars.
Yeah, because for Robot Wars, a lot of the stuff looked impressive, but they didn't really do anything. So, more often than not, it was like sumo. It was like sumo matches.
And actually, Robot Wars allowed push bots, which is literally it's like Duck. You push the other bot around until you slam it against the wall until it dies. Because I've seen a lot of commentary comparing the two and these kind of stuff. So yeah, the bots weren't as refined, would you say, Daniel?
I have a memory in the back of my mind that I don't know if it's real or not. I remember the mechanical worm thing that I don't know how it was supposed to attack, but it was just this metal worm that would just kind of move like this. And I think it was either built by Grant Imahara or Bill Nye, just to say that they built one. I might be just completely bonkers right now, but after this episode, I'm going to check it out. But I think that there was this metal worm or a snake built by one of those two. It was a celebrity who built it.
Yeah.
Look,
but the only thing it couldn't win. It couldn't even attack. It could barely move. But it looked. It left enough of an impact to like be in the back of my brain.
My other favorite bot, since I had two, Minotaur.
Minotaur.
I love Minotaur.
Oh, that little thing that looks like a Roomba.
It looks like a Roomba.
Yeah, and then we'll launch a 250-pound bot across the battle box.
And did you see the Desperado tournament?
Yes, I did. I'm not as fond of their current build, their 2019 build, but like their 2018 build, their 2017 build.
Yeah, the
So
drummer.
for the record, Minotaur is one of the smaller bots, and it is basically a square, but it has a drum on it with protrusions, and it spins at such high speeds that you can actually hear it spinning. It sounds like a jet engine revving up, or as I like to say, all rise for the Brazilian national anthem, because they're a Brazilian team.
I will say that it was, I have seen Minotaur live. It is the second loudest bot of all.
The first.
Third was Tombstone. Second was Minotaur. First was Ice Wave.
Oh, Ice Wave. That makes sense.
Hold it real quick. Hold that thought. I just want to give some quick shout outs to we got some new followers. Hey, what a F and Issa Joke. Thank you so much for following. PBS logo sound. Yo, seriously. KQED was the shit.
It was.
Like public television in the Bay Area is so good. And I'm not even talking about like the educational shit. Wanted to just get off my chest. Continue, please.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, Minotaur also has one of the best drivers.
Oh, he has the most facial expression of like any driver in the entire.
Oh yeah, we have pictures of the bots now.
Yes, there. Thank you. Anthony is actually running tech.
There we go.
So if you want to know, in addition to working his ass off and editing Fanimania 5, he's one of the main reasons why we look and sound so good. So there's Minotaur, one of Eli's favorites.
And so just for the record, most of these spinners they spin faster than hurricane winds. Like
and it's steel. Or something stronger than steel.
Yes. So
wait, Ken, real quick, for those who look at this and it just looks like a rolling pin, how does something like that spinner do damage?
So you saw the protrusion on the drum. It spins at a couple 100 miles an hour. And when something else hits it, the thing goes, it hits it and it launches whatever, or it'll take a chunk out. Which is always a fun thing. So horizontal spinners are better at taking chunks out. Vertical drum spinners and vertical spinners are better at launching. Yeah, so horizontal, the horizontal and vertical is wherever direction it spins. So this is horizontal, this is vertical.
Oh, in the way direct, not the orientation of the roller.
Right.
When you did, I was like, what? Thank you for clarifying. You learned something new.
Yeah. So, and spinners are some of the most effective weapons out there because energy. And so the difference between Minotaur and Tombstone in terms of kinetic energy is because Minotaur is launching something up, which means it's pushing Minotaur down. Minotaur's already on the ground. It's actually pretty effective at defending itself when it lands a good hit. However, because of the energy needed to spin a drum rather than a bar, and also to spin it vertically, they don't hit as hard as Tombstone.
This sounds like, yo, can we have Battlebots for Evo? Oh, here we go.
What do we got? So beautiful.
Thank you, Anthony.
Currently, I'm a little behind. There it is.
Currently, Anthony has shown us
versus Blacksmith, right?
Yes.
Eli is nerding out over Minotaur versus Blacksmith. We have footage of Battlebots in our stream. Please don't sue us.
Yeah.
I wonder if we can get a picture of Buddy Lee Don't Play in the Street from like the old Comedy Central. I haven't seen that bot in years, but it's gonna be my favorite.
Yeah. We can also get into the weirder bots too.
I'm sure we get into the weird bots like Mammoth this season.
Have you seen Mammoth?
I saw it live.
What
and I'm just
is
like, it's like an 8-foot tall, what appears to be a catapult, but it was 1-0, so it won once.
Doesn't it also spit fire?
I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
While this chat is going on, I just want to really highlight the fact that we actually have a few BattleBot fans in the chat. We have Decree tried to go to a taping but was kicked out because of overbooking. Kaito is a BattleBots fan. Pinky Death's a BattleBot fan. Pinky Death was nerding over Tombstone. So
You just have to invite us back when the final airs.
And then here we go, Backstage Pass live recording of the finals of BattleBots.
And I'll be quiet until the very end.
Daniel has to like fake, whoa,
oh boy. Oh boy, I wonder who's going to win.
Yeah, Mammoth was something else. So,
Anthony wrote, "What WTF is that thing? How did that get a win?" Now I have to look at the. Okay.
By the
listeners.
way, Anthony G. Just so you know, that's Mammoth. I forgot that it fought Axe backwards.
What?
Yes,
that looks like a abstract art.
It really is, and it's about when it's fully like up. It's about 8 feet tall.
Yeah, so if you ever want scale for these, if you go Google BattleBots roster,
thing is huge.
It's called Mammoth.
Yeah,
it just has to fit in that red box.
Yeah, if you Google BattleBots roster, you'll see the entire 2019 roster with the people who made it. So you also get scale of these things, because it's like I watch it and forget how big these robots are, but these robots are huge.
You know what's going to happen, right? We're going to have more people watch it, and then Japan's going to get a hold of it, and then we're going to have BattleBots drawn as cute girls.
Oh, that's already happened on the subreddit.
Oh, shit, really?
Yep.
Oh, shit. Oh, all right. I want to see Tombstone Chan. Let's go.
No, Tombstone will be a senpai, because Tombstone's been around for a while.
Yeah. But Anthony, if you need quick work of any of the pictures, the website has the entire roster in alphabetical order, which is what I have as reference. So yeah. And then, so we're currently on Shark Week break.
Of course, if there's only one thing that's going to put a break on BattleBots is Shark Week.
Yeah, that's the picture of Mammoth with scale of humans.
Okay. Wow. That looks more like that looks something like it's missing a wheel so an Amish person can do their knitting on it or something. All right, look.
Yeah.
You've been talking about seasons. So how's 2019 season looking so far?
It looks pretty amazing. I can see Daniel like biting his tongue. But so we currently had weeks of fight nights. So they had 7 episodes of Fight Nights and then the Desperado tournament. And then I'm so sorry, Daniel, you're like in pain. And what they do is that everyone fights. You try to get the best record in the 7 weeks, and they pick the top 16 to go into a bracket like March Madness bracket. And with one spot reserved for the Desperado. And the Desperado is whoever like had a losing record, throws their hat in for quick succession matches. And then that person gets one last spot in the top 16.
They get the 16 slot. Basically, 8 bots are like if your record's like 1-2 or 1-3, and you're just under. It's like an 8-person tournament, single elimination, lose and go home.
Yeah,
winner,
bracketed March Madness type thing.
Exactly. And winner gets slot number 16, so you're going to fight the number 1 seed. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Also, hold up. I following the suggestion. Number one, I'm looking at the 2019 roster, and holy cow, there are some. You could tell who are the basic teams and who are the teams that really came to play in terms of their looks.
Oh, are you looking at Kraken?
No, I'm looking at Kronos, dude.
What about Ribot?
Ribot.
Ribot?
No, I'm looking at the team for Kronos, and they got like freaking cowboy steampunk looks on, and this dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he looks like something. He looks like something.
Shout outs to that team Double Jeopardy.
Oh
yes.
Double Jeopardy. I've seen both seasons for these guys live, and they take about 10 minutes, like, to get ready. And that's like, all right, Farouk does the intro for Red, then he does the intro for Blue, and then he's like, all right, let's get ready to have the bot fight. And then they walk away, but then Double Jeopardy comes out with an air compressor and loads the thing for about 10 minutes. So the crowd's kind of like tired by the end of that. Then they go back in, and all of that is for one shot with a cannon.
So they don't air the Double Jeopardy matches.
I guess not. I've seen that they had it for last season, and I've seen it this season. I've seen a taping this season. I saw a taping last season, and it took 10 minutes every time.
I've never seen it. Yeah.
The entire crew is basically dressed like Alice Trebek. They got the suit, the tie. They're all like, some wear glasses. They're like,
I'm gonna say next year, 2020. If you're not in some sort of coordinated cosplay, get out.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You should also look at the Kraken team because they went hard.
Oh, I see him right now. The Kraken team with the, yeah, dude. They someone made his like mascot head outfit, and they got pirates, and oh my god, they're so color coordinated.
Yeah.
Please more. I'm every bot where the team is just wearing t-shirts and get out. You don't belong here.
Yeah.
Oh, Texas Twister, yes.
Yeah, Texas Twister.
Yes. And once someone uppercut, I mean, I like the rose, but they got the Guy Fieri flames. Shout outs to Nico.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I think that's all. Yeah, I just saw Kraken on the.
There's that Kraken on the stream.
And the guy in the anglerfish outfit, whenever he's like, Farouk is like presenting them, he's just in the background going like this to the camera.
Stop, guys, I just saw 2018, and don't tell me there was a robot that entered his name as Battle Royale with cheese.
Yes! I love Battle Royale with cheese.
Oh, and it's a burger.
It's a burger. It's a horizontal spinner. The meat patty is the spinner.
Oh, I've never seen a fight. It could probably have the worst record, but that is my favorite. That is my favorite. Please tell me, did that do well? Please.
No, like you said, some people are coming for the joke. Some people are coming to put you in a tombstone.
Battle Royale.
I forgot that they dressed up as condiments.
Oh, right. I think they brought a baby who was like a pickle or something.
Yeah.
I can't get over that name. Because it makes me think of freaking Pulp Fiction.
That's what it's, yeah.
That's it. You know how we have a show in Queen City? It's the Royal City Rumble.
Yeah.
When we do it next year, it's gonna be Royal City Rumble with cheese.
Battle Royale City Royal Rumble with cheese.
With cheese. That's the sequel.
It was the bacon slice that was the spinner.
Yes.
Oh,
they had a mini bot.
They had the mini bot burger. It was a junior Whopper.
Yeah.
Just get out.
This is just a side thing. If you see a bot with like multiple bots, they only have to. The weight has to equal 250 pounds, but it doesn't have to be a single bot. So you can have like Gemini, where it's 2 125-pound bots, but you could also have mini bots like War Stop. and for which is with Warhawk, and it's this tiny little robot with a wedge, and its entire purpose is to be magnetized. Did you see Battle Royale?
No, I found the Disco Inferno.
Eli, remember G an hour ago is like, I guess we're gonna have talk Battlebots, and now here we are laughing off just looking at the roster.
Yes,
just the roster.
I wasn't reluctant about this. Excuse me, I approve.
We are introducing you to what we love, and we are taking such enjoyment that you are finding so much enjoyment in this.
Can they hire me to make the names for the robots? I will make some bad names. Dude.
What are some other good ones? Ribot was really good. If you have the chance, Anthony, look up Ribot.
I know
I can't get over Battle Royale.
There was one episode where Kraken came out, and he had a mini bot that was just a little cardboard box that was dressed like a narwhal.
Yes.
And
yes.
The moment that the fight started, the main other bot just went right for him and destroyed him. So it was just a flat metal disc with wheels attached to it.
Yeah, so I think the best mini bot is Warstop, which is a tiny little thing that is actually it's magnetized to the floor, so it's harder to hit.
Oh, okay.
But it goes under, and it's just enough that it'll lift your bot off of the floor.
It's a functional bot. It's not just, oh, my kid wants to play.
Also, Pinky Death mentioned that they liked Witch Doctor, and Witch Doctor is very good. But I'm very sad that they got rid of Shaman, because Shaman...
Yeah.
Shaman was their mini bot, and it would get under the bots and then spit fire. But I need you to look up Ribot.
Wait, okay, hold on. What year is Ribot?
2019.
This year.
Okay,
so whenever Ribot's in a fight, they don't show this on stream or on the show.
I saw Ribot. It's a giant Yo, dude.
They don't show it on the show, but this thing's made of just foam.
It's CWF BattleBot Edition. Let's go.
So when this goes against a spinner, the entire arena is covered in green and white foam.
Yeah.
It takes the cleaners about 10 minutes to sweep and vacuum up. It was the most dirty I've ever seen the BattleBot arena after a fight. And there wasn't too much damage done to the bot per se. Just that entire coat was just shredded.
And what's crazy about Ribot is that it's actually a really, really good bot. It's let me find its stats, because it's actually like a legit contender.
See, that
it's
could
totally
1-1. That could totally be the frog girl from Boku no Hero. Let's go, man.
Oh no.
I'm just saying, CWF BattleBot Edition. I'm just trying to think, who would have the best robots in the CWF? Lashada would just buy her robot.
Yeah.
Lashada would be the Farouk.
Or Sir Kill-A-Lot.
No, I honestly feel like Donovan would be the Farouk.
You're right. Donovan would be Farouk.
Lashada's the judge.
Lashada would be one of the judges, and she would be the heel judge.
Yeah.
Or I should say, all three judges have just been replaced with just Lashada.
Yes.
And Mr. Hickey's on commentary with Matashita.
Yes.
We just have like a bad green screen. And you're talented enough where you could do it.
First off, Matashita and Mr. Hickey are two different people. I don't know why there's the fan theory that Matashita is Hickey Alter.
Hickey Alter, yeah. Please ignore the really bad green screen effect. And the slight audio desync after a moment. After
I'm
a
only
minute.
thinking about this because like one of these robots looked like Guy Fieri would pilot them.
I just saw Witch Doctor on the screen, and Witch Doctor has had one of the best evolutions, but I want to just mention that the skeleton bird on that guy's hat actually can flap its wings and open its mouth.
Oh,
Yeah, he went to the crowd during one of the tapings, and he would just like go up to the kids and be like really close, and he'd be like, he would just flap its wings, and the kids are like, oh.
Yeah, Witch Doctor's another favorite. Because she's also one of the spearheads of women in this competition. Because as you can imagine, just like women in all fields of STEM, there aren't that many of them. And so she was really like, no! I'm going to make a legit bot.
Yo, actually, Witch Doctor reminds me of a monster truck I remember growing up. Gravedigger. Yes!
I didn't watch Monster Trucks.
I didn't either, but if you were a kid growing up, you knew two monster trucks, Bigfoot and Gravedigger. Gravedigger had a really cool design and a very similar color scheme. Come in, see monster truck talk. This is why you should follow Backstage Pass, listeners, because like the most random shit happens.
I will say that a lot of the themes do have stuff related to where they're from. So, like, you can guess where the people from Texas Twister are from.
Yo, Texas Twister does sound like a roller coaster.
It does.
It probably is.
But yeah, like Witch Doctor, they're from Louisiana. Warhawk has a almost like why am I forgetting the name? Totem pole look. And they're from the upper Northwest. It's all really cool.
Is Tombstone from Death Valley?
Yeah. No, he's not from Death Valley. He's from, but somewhere in the Central Valley where it's too damn hot. Yeah.
I do appreciate the theming, and at least every robot has some sort of visual gimmick. Some.
Yeah.
I know Huge has those two eyebrows that are like, And then once, like, the eyebrows got hit, and it's like this. So it just looks really awkward, like it's angry and sad, and then it gets cut in half.
Also, look at it. It seems like more than one robot has gone with the Captain America shield design.
Yeah,
there's
full body spinners.
Captain Shredderator, which is just a shield that has the Captain America logo that spins. It made it to the Desperado tournament. It did not win the Desperado tournament.
Did it go up against Minotaur in the Desperado?
It was either Minotaur or Black Dragon.
Yeah, one of the Brazilian teams.
One of the Brazilian teams. It lost to one of the teams that got in the finals.
Yeah,
but I think it lost round one.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna make a point and it left my mind.
If we're talking about Battlebots, it leaves a lot of people like to can't get over Texas Twister.
Yep. Texas Twister pretty
and then
good.
There's Tombstone. Tombstone, very plain looking.
Well, I will say when they do come up, one of his helpers puts on like a dollar store like Grim Reaper outfit and like a super plastic scythe.
Also, Tombstone has this really awkward font that says Tombstone on it. It looks like a wedding font.
Yeah.
Just on it.
Yeah.
Anthony's working overtime getting these graphics up.
The roster is really great.
Can you not see the wrestling? Can you not see the wrestling? Do we have to spell it in front of you? Oh God, I can't get over Battle Royale with cheese. I can't get over Battle Royale with cheese.
Yeah.
Well, this was eye-opening and gut-busting at the same time. This is probably the most diverse set of topics we've ever had because we went to public television, Fanimania, baseball, Battlebots, monster trucks, roller coasters, Maker Faire.
You got your fair, yeah.
Shit.
Yep.
All right. I'm not asking Daniel this question. Okay. Eli, who do you want to win and who do you think will win?
Oh, let me pull it up. I'm looking at the current thing as of the fight nights. They are so little fun fact. I thought this was going to happen on Thursday, and I was like, perfect. They'll have the final 16 out by then, and I can talk more. It's Tuesday.
That was my fault. I wrote the number wrong. I was like, oh, it's Tuesday the 8th. I'm just like, oh, that doesn't exist. So it was the 8th, but 8th is Thursday right after it would have aired. So
no, it's actually right before it would have aired.
So right, so we would have been like right after. So
yeah,
sorry, my fault.
Yeah, no worries. So they haven't actually announced the top 16, so we don't know who's in.
That means you can pick anyone.
I know. I can tell you who won't win. Simply because, let's be real here, Huge is not going to win. As much as I love Huge is amazing and like actually a really cool engineering thing, and I want those eyes on my computer. Huge is just not going to win. I feel like Hydra has a really good chance.
I don't see Hydra in this.
Hydra is a hydraulic flipper, which kind of threw Bronco for a loop because Bronco has always been the flippers are basically they have a little thing that goes boing and then it launches another bot way too tall in the air.
Bronco is really huge too.
Yeah.
That was the bot that I saw in real life. I'm like, wow, these things are massive.
Yeah. Hydra is a smaller version, but it's actually a little bit more powerful because it's a hydraulic flipper and not air compressed. So it's like new. What's really cool is that new technologies kind of you see them popping up. So, like Daniel, do you remember when drones were first introduced?
Oh yes.
And the rake,
like shooting fired at, and the rake, just the like.
Yeah, so some guy was like, I need to fight this drone. So he went to like Home Depot and bought a gardening rake.
I remember this fight.
Yeah, this is a couple years ago. If you go, which one was it? It was Hypershock Rake. It's on YouTube.
Hypershock Rake.
And it just knocks this drone out. And drones didn't really catch on, but hydraulic flippers seem to. I think Witch Doctor has a really good chance. I mean, Tombstone has a good chance from the virtue of being Tombstone.
It's John Cena.
Yeah, I mean, whatever went wrong in the so the one he lost one against Rotator, but that's because Rotator had a very sturdy wedge. You know, if he fixes those problems, gets around those driving issues, if he doesn't catch on fire again, because he kind of caught on fire, you know, he still has a good chance because it's Tombstone.
All right. Well, we're going to find out soon, but thank you, Daniel and Eli, for this. Probably one of our long, we almost went 2 hours with this thing.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was.
You should bring us back after the final.
Yeah, that I can talk.
Oh, yeah. So, all right. It looks like we're going to be penciling a few more episodes because first we got to do the Queen City Anime Con post report. Then we got to do the Battlebot, and then I'm going to kick off everyone, and we're going to do theme parks.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to tie it to wrestling. My bad. Not theme parks. Amusement parks, because barely in the United States do we have theme parks. Unlike glorious Europe, I want to go to Alton Towers and Fantasia Land and Europa Park and Park Asterix.
Sure.
Teaser. When I went on Diamondback, I lost feeling in my hands and feet.
Just the other time you passed out?
No. The other time I passed out was actually at the British Museum. I passed out of heat exhaustion. I got to the Rosetta Stone, and I remember looking at the Rosetta Stone, and then I woke up in a room full of oil paint.
Whoa, dude, that sounds like a show. That's how Isekai gets started. Like, you get transported and
This
the
is a 12-episode
historical
anime
museum
series.
land, or this is how Night at the Museum 4 starts.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is fantastic. And listeners, you'll know that we're going to have some very exciting topics coming out in addition to more exciting video game sessions as I play more Fire Pro Wrestling next week. Or it might be...
Can
or
we
might
get
be
a
playing-
battle royale with cheese emo?
Anyway, let me go ahead and before I close out, let me just remind everyone that every Tuesday we have a alternating between game streaming and podcasting. And once again, we have a Patreon. So please follow us there. Look us up, Cosplay Wrestling Federation, to help us out. And our question for next week. Daniel, you got one? Because I don't got one right now.
All I'm thinking on my brain is Battle Royale with cheese right now.
You can make the thing. Go to the roster. It's easily Google. What's your favorite looking bot?
Well, usually I like to keep them wrestling related.
Wrestling related.
It's robot wrestling. It's fine.
Wow, way to take over. You're not even going to be here next episode, okay?
Favorite Mania match.
Ooh, all right. Thank you. Next week, not next week. Next episode will be favorite WrestleMania match. Doesn't have to be main event. Just has to be WrestleMania match. All right. Anyway, this was a fantastic episode. We nearly went 2 hours, guys. I gotta reiterate that. I gotta reiterate that was crazy. But signing off. This is Gerardo Paz with Daniel and Eli, with Anthony in the booth. This was a fantastic episode. Join us next week for more gaming, and definitely join us 2 weeks from now as we talk about our experience at Queen City Anime Con. See you next time, folks.
See you guys.
Bye.
Hey.